connecting to it's being recorded. Let me
Perfect.
get the video off.
All right, guys. Well, good morning and welcome to our first breakout session. This is Let's Talk for Support Staff. The presenter, there is no presenter today. It's just me kind of moderating as we go through here. But I do want to read a quick message. TA would like to thank and give special thanks to our 2020 conference sponsors, ADEQ, Auto Safety House, Braun Ability, Canyon State Bus Sales, Cummins Engines, REI, RWC Group, and the Trust. Their support for this year's virtual platform has allowed us to stand by our commitment to present student transportation information and relevant content to all members. So thank you to those groups. Thank you to all of you guys being here today and joining us in this first virtual conference and this first step as we try something new. We're all really bummed that we couldn't be in Flagstaff this year, but we wanted to do something to try and connect with all of you while we were away. And so we thought this was the best idea. We think so far it's been great. Down here in the bottom of your screen, you should see a raise hand feature, or in the chat box. If you have questions, go ahead and raise your hand, or you can just type your comments in. Make sure on the comment box it says to. You want to click that drop down arrow where it says all panelists and attendees. That way everyone in the group can see your questions and we can talk through there. I will be able to keep time a little bit in here because we have this class until 11:40, so we have a full hour. We do have a small agenda, maybe some topics to kind of get us going for support staff. Anyone's welcome in this group. It is geared towards more for support staff, so drivers, monitors, trainers, and that sort as well. But if any directors, supervisors are with us, welcome. We're glad to have you in our group as well. Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded and it will be posted to our YouTube page. If you go to YouTube and you search TAA or Transportation Administrators of Arizona, we do have our own YouTube page now. There are a couple videos up right now from TAA board meetings, and every Friday state directors have been meeting to discuss the current situation with the virus and reopening. So you can watch those and hear what's happening and what districts are thinking and what we're trying to work on to get our kiddos back. So this will go up there also, so everyone can see our conversation. If you have something, let's go ahead. You can unmute yourself, and then we will be able to hear you, and we will all talk. First question for us to discuss, and we're only going to do about 10 minutes on this. It's going to be a huge topic, but we are going to limit it to 10 minutes. Our first topic of discussion, and we're going to open up for you guys to start talking, is what are your thoughts on social distancing on the bus? Anyone have anyone that wants to start? Don't be shy.
I have read and been keeping up on the states surrounding us that they're keeping students one seat apart and staggering them on each side, and that they're supposed to wear face masks and possibly check temperatures, possibly have an aide on the bus as well. So
yeah, there have been a lot of districts in that state meeting that we've been doing every Friday. A lot of districts are going to do temperature checks on and off as the students get on the bus. There's a lot of different ideas going around about one student per seat, every other seat, skipping a row. We all know that an 84 passenger bus, that takes it down to a 14 passenger bus. I don't know if that's feasible in our industry right now. A lot of people are going to do one person to a seat staggered, one by the window, one by the aisle, requiring face masks. Remember, siblings can sit together. One thing that I proposed in our district was, especially with the new buses, the new seat height. With our little kids, that is a barrier. CDC guidelines say if you cannot socially distance, have a barrier. We're going to be using that seat back as a barrier. We've not made any decisions if we're going to require masks for students or not. But those are some ideas. What else? What are some of your drawbacks? What do you think what are some positives you think? We want to make sure we say positive on a lot of this too. What do you think are some of your positives? Again, don't be shy. This is that interactive piece.
You're going to have a lot less problems with kiddos getting into each other and into each other's stuff.
I can see that. I can see that. What else? If you don't have a microphone, you can type it in that chat box so we can all see it, and we'll be able to address it, and we can read it out from there as well.
Well, one of the questions that I would have for everybody is how far into the planning stage are they? Because each district right now is, at some stage in planning. So has everybody done a survey of their parents? How many parents are keeping their kids home to do online training, online schooling? So some of it really you can plan ahead, but you're not going to know until you actually determine, okay, how many parents are sending students back? How many parents are doing online or part-time only? And some of your districts out there aren't even offering, full-time online training. They're just doing maybe 1 or 2 days a week. So some of you may still be in that planning phase. Tommy has been doing this from, day one, so is pretty far into, what they know to expect.
Well, we're getting some good comments coming in, Stephanie. First, Monica Garcia, if you have a microphone in the bottom corner of your screen, you should have a little microphone icon that says mute or not mute, or it could have a red X through it or a red crossbar. That's going to let you know if you have one. If you can get rid of that red X, you'll be able to know. Sabrina Larimer says, most of our parents have said that they are going to drive their kids to and from school. So I think most districts have done a survey. I just got our survey results back this morning. Monica Garcia says, we have 65% in our district that will come back. So that looks like that's pretty good. Alicia Roberts says, our district is putting out a survey starting July 1. Otherwise, we have no real answers yet. According to surveys seen on Facebook or the paper, it seems our area is about 50-50 between homeschool, online platform to brick and mortar. Melva Roberts says, will the schools lose funding on children that do homeschooling? That's a good question. We'll come back to that one, Melva. Each district is, like Stephanie, I think you're right, they're at a different point. I know Mesa just released this morning what their plans are. An article that was put out yesterday said Paradise Valley, Pendergast, there was a couple others that they're going to their board either this week or next week with their plans to discuss. My district's not going until July 7th. One thing I want us to remember, and we talked about this in the other one, is I think we're going to have a lot less students on the bus this year. I think we may be trying to plan for the great big scheme of if we had all 60 try to ride, but I think in all reality, our ridership may be down a good 50, 60, maybe even 70% this year. So we may not have as much difficulty doing the social distancing and keeping the spacing on the bus. But I think everyone's at a little different place. And then just depending on where you are, schools in Greenlee County, and there was one other county that only have like 1 case or, less than 10 cases, they're going to be a completely different spot than those here in Maricopa County, in Yuma County, in Pinal County, Navajo County, and up on the Navajo Nation as well. So
A lot of the districts, do we have any northern Navajo districts? What I'm seeing come across my desk is so many of them are choosing just to be virtual online only because they're getting it hit really hard.
correct.
So, and part of their struggle is internet service. So they're all knowing they want to take an online approach, but how to institute that is the challenge.
You're absolutely correct. I know that was part of our survey, was asking parents, do you have reliable internet at home? And then do you have reliable resources to use to get on the internet with the devices as well? So I think a lot of that is important information that needs to be in that survey to make that. And, one thing we have to remember also is we're not going to be able to make the decisions. It's our school boards and our administrators that are going to do it. We can only do suggestions. But, make sure if you're a parent in that district or as a staff member, they send a survey to staff, make sure you fill out those surveys so they can get that piece of it. Chantel, I didn't get the last name, it's not coming out through, but says parent traffic is going to be a nightmare. That is absolutely true. One thing that we talked about with that in my district is not so much adjusting the school times, but we're going to adjust the drop off and pickup times for the buses, especially in the afternoon to leave school. to get our kids on the bus and out of there before parents start showing up. But I'm sure some of you, like us, we have school gets out at 2:25. Parents start lining up at 1:15 so they can get that first primo spot. So we'll see how that goes. Our district's planning on continuing some sort of meals delivery service for students whose parents choose to keep them home, or our district's planning. Avery, that's a good question. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to USDA. They have to give the approval for that. Each district, I think, has different dates that they're kind of not allowed to do anymore unless the district picks up the tab on it. So that is a pretty good question. Our district is going, this is from Vina. Our district is going 4 days with drivers wearing a mask. Yeah, we haven't made any decisions on any of that yet, but I'm sure that's going to be coming down the pike here real soon. Up to Melva's question, will schools lose funding on children that do homeschooling? That's a very controversial topic right now. The state funding formula for districts to get paid right now is students have to be in the building to get paid. There's a couple lawmakers out there that have drafted legislation, and they're trying to get it through where that would change. Because of the situation that we're in, Governor Ducey would have to call both the House and the Senate back together so they can discuss, go through appropriations, do its legal process, and then vote on it. But Governor Ducey's office has also put out that he's stated that he may make an executive decision on what it's going to be. But as of right now, if students aren't in the classroom, yeah, we don't get funding on them. So that's going to be a difficult workaround. You know, what we're hearing is we could lose about 30% of our students to actual online schools or homeschooling. And when you think about, let's just keep numbers easy because I'm not a math major. Your budget is $1 million for your district and you lose 30%, you're gonna lose $300,000. Your budget's now $700,000. So that could be, it's gonna be a big stepping stone. Our district's, okay, yeah, so no other comments on that one. So it's scary for us smaller districts. You're absolutely correct, Alicia. We'll have to wait and see what the governor says and does. Or, and Siri's trying to talk to me right now. Sorry. We'll see what the governor does and the sessions come in. That's where that's going to go. All right, let's move on to our next one. What are your thoughts on sanitation for the school bus as drivers, monitors, trainers? What are your thoughts? How is that going to go over? Sabrina says, our drivers will be supplied with face shields and masks optional. Are there anyone that has approached the topic of removable hand sanitizer on the buses? And Sabrina, I think you just made Stephanie Arbaugh fall out of her chair with that question. Hand sanitizer is a touchy subject. DPS, it's back and forth. It can be a fire hazard. There's also a temperature gradient on it where if it sits longer than a certain amount of time over 105 degrees, it's no longer a hand sanitizer. It's just a gel because the alcohol is basically dissipated out of it and evaporated out of it for that matter. So hand sanitizer is a little touchy subject. I'm not going with hand sanitizer. We're working on a plan for sanitizing. I've got a disinfecting policy in place for all of our drivers, and we're going to revise our cleaning policy where, remember, minimum standard says we have to sweep our buses every day, but we're taking an extra step this year as well. Angeline Rabb from, I believe she's at Flagstaff Unified. I'm hearing that 20 minutes will be added to route times for spray sanitation down for bus. That would be good for Flagstaff. Stephanie Arbaugh is raising her hand. Go ahead and talk, Stephanie. You're okay. You can unmute yourself.
I only want to say this about hand sanitizer. I'm just going to be the mom for a second. If you choose to use or supply or install or carry hand sanitizer on the school bus, as well as cleaning products, my ask of you is that you get permission in writing. Get it from someone in writing. Because in the worst case scenario, if there's an accident, if something catches on fire, I'm being very extreme, but I want you to be thinking about these things. If there's a fire, if there's an accident, if student has exposure to it, in order for sanitizer to be classified as sanitizer, it has to be 60% alcohol, which is the issue. If the worst case scenario happens and you don't have it in writing, there's a liability issue. So if you're going to use it, if you're going to have your drivers, have it on your bus, however you're going to do it, my ask is that you just follow the process of getting something in writing so that if the worst does happen, you say, here, this is what we've got right here. All I'm going to say, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. Angeline, is this all being reviewed by DPS? What we're being told by DPS is that they're reviewing their information with the current circumstances that we're in. But Stephanie brings up a very good point. If you're going to supply the hand sanitizer, send DPS an email, get a response from them in writing that you can keep for approval to have it on the bus. Janita Martin says, so do the districts get funding for online schools through the district? If your district is approved as an online education facility, which right now most districts in the state are applying to ADE for that accreditation, then yes, districts will get funded for the students that are in through the online program. It's a long application process, and for the longest time, the ADE was not approving any. But with the way things are looking now in most districts, either offering that online portal or some kind of hybrid model, they've reopened the application process. So if your district is approved for the online process and an online educational facility, you will get, your district will get the funding for that student because they have to meet certain requirements of the attendance every day and so on and so forth. So yes. Alicia says, I read that all the touch zones, if you want to call them that, handrails need to be cleaned first with a cleanser, then allow it to sit, and then sanitize with a sanitizer. Absolutely correct. That is, you do need to clean it before you disinfect it. You don't just want to disinfect something that's dirty. So that's why we're going to be discussing our cleaning process for it as well. The issue that we're running into in my district, and a lot of other districts do this, we run 3 routes or 3 runs in the morning. Your 3 runs in the morning make your 1 morning route. And we can disinfect before our first tier route, but we may not have that 10-minute sit time or 15-minute sit time for our disinfectant to dry before we start picking up for our 2nd tier route, and then between our 2nd and 3rd tier route. So those are issues that we're discussing to try and figure out. If I extend route in between route times, I'm not going to have kiddos getting to school in time, and then we're worried that that's going to start affecting their minutes in class, and are they going to have to make up minutes later as a district go into longer school or summer school to make up those. So those are things that we're discussing. Monica Garcia is asking a waiver. I know waivers have been discussed. I know some districts are looking into them from the legal side. There was just an article last week on either, I think it was AZ Central or maybe ABC 15 about a district that put out a waiver, and there was a lawyer that came out and said, do not sign this stuff. So, I mean, a waiver is very questionable. I don't know what districts are going to want to do, but some districts are looking at waivers for, here's the plans, the disinfecting cleaning processes on our bus. This is what we're asking, encouraging, recommending, but if you still choose to put your student on the bus, these are the risks that you're taking. Don't know how many parents are going to feel about that. We just don't know, but a waiver is being discussed by a lot of districts right now. Monica, absolutely. As drivers, do you feel, what are your thoughts on having to sanitize in between every run or morning and afternoon? I want to hear from some of you guys. Again, this is the interactive part. I'm just saying, I mean, I could sing to you, but it probably wouldn't be very pretty.
It depends on how much time we have in between.
Correct. It's going to depend a lot on how much time you have in between. Some routes have that 10, 15-minute layover. Other routes, you drop and you take your 5-7 minutes to drop. You got your 5 or 6 minutes to get to your next stop, and you're already 3 minutes late for your route. So, yeah, Monica agrees it will take more time. You're absolutely correct.
If we've got the time, then I'm all for it.
One of the things that's been discussed through here is our special needs routes will be able to, because they have a driver and a monitor, so that monitor can spray down as they're going and cleaning to get to that next stop. But for our gen ed, with just the driver on the bus, and with the driver shortage as it is, and trying to just get staff, are we going to be able to hire enough monitors for all of our gen ed routes? I mean, I have 30 35 gen ed routes and, another 30 special needs, am I going to be able to find another 35 people to hire as a monitor for that gen ed route? And then you have to look at, that's going to affect budgeting because you're looking at more payroll and for the benefits. It seems like every situation that comes up in solution we come up with is going to cost more money. And it's just not there yet. We don't have we were, underfunded for so many years, trying to catch up. And that's something they're trying to work on, is how is this going to be funded? Angelina, I think it's a good thing for everyone's safety. I absolutely agree with you on that. And my mantra is always, if you run late, you run late. I can explain late. I can never explain early. So I see that. Have there been any studies on long-term effects of exposure to the cleaning disinfecting chemicals? Avery, good question. A lot of that comes down to looking at the MSD or the SDS sheets that come with the chemicals and only using those that are approved on the CDC list for cleaning the type of virus and that kind of stuff. And then we got to look, at the district level, what can and can't we use? You don't want to go around spraying bleach and water all over your bus in between routes. That's not going to be good because of the reactions, but you may have some students or even staff that are going to have some sensitivities to smells and other things. So that's something that we have to look at also. Chantil says it is necessary. Safety first. It's going to be hard. Agreed. Alicia, not districts are affected by budget cuts. Very true. Some districts do not pay their drivers for downtime, only driving time. I wonder if they're going to fund for that. That's a good question. That's coming from Dondi. That's a very good question. A lot of districts, you're just paid for your drive route time. And not your layover time. So that's going to be a good question as well to talk about. Vina, our job is to safely transport kids, so it will be the new normal. Yeah, and I know I've got one of my people in here listening to that and heard me say new normal, and she probably fell out of her chair. She's really hating that word right now. Will adding an hour a day for cleaning put drivers into overtime? That's a good question also. One of the things that was discussed was half-day schedules, where 50% go morning, 50% go afternoon. For me, that takes my district, my staff members from 5.6 hours to 8 hours a day, which now makes them, they already get medical benefits, but dental benefits, vacation time, earned paid leave time, and 8 hours. I mean, that's a huge budget increase. I think it came out to about another 1.6 million just in payroll for my department if we had to go to 8 hours a day for full staff. So those are things that, you have to look at and talk about as well. And that, may not even be the department or your director's decision on that one. That could all come down to a district decision. Monica says the good thing is since there will be less students coming back, we may be able to transport them. I absolutely agree with that. I saw on Facebook, school districts did have a form that parents sign that they're not liable for students come out that comes down with COVID. And that's what a lot of the waivers are doing. I know there's a couple here in the Valley looking at it. But I think you're absolutely right on that, Monica. I think you're on the right track. I think a lot of parents are going to be still very apprehensive because we don't know what this thing is or what it's doing, and no one really understands it yet. Things seem to be changing every week. I think a lot of parents are going to transport. You're absolutely correct. So I think we're going to be able to mitigate this a little bit easier than what we're trying to plan for. One of the things I've learned from Stephanie is worst case scenario, but at the same time, you don't plan for something that's completely out of your control. You don't plan for the most catastrophic event. You plan for what you can control in your own area. So good comments in here. Good comments. I like hearing these. This one is going to be good. This one I'm very interested in getting into, and this one's going to be for trainers especially. How are you adjusting plans to train new drivers and continue training for existing staff? So trainers, let's jump in on here. How are you planning on doing that? Are any of you training right now?
I would like Margaret to speak to that. Margaret, don't you kind of have a good setup? Do you feel comfortable sharing your plan? Maybe not.
Well, she may not have a microphone. If she can type some stuff in, we can read it out to everyone too. We are in the process of trying to hire. Right now, I need 7 drivers. And right now we have 4 that we want to offer positions to. What we did our interviews through Zoom meetings. We sent them a form to sign and all the information for the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. They sent us a copy of their license. They got registered so we could send in their pre-employment through the clearinghouse. Because remember, we have to do that. we've offered positions. What we're running into is they're kind of nervous to join us just because they may be driving for another district. And if they leave there, they start here as a brand new employee. If we don't start school on the first day, are they going to get paid where their current district? They'll still get paid. Some want to move from out of state here, but they're going to move for a job. And if there may not be a job. So that's where we're running into the issue with training. But we've talked for the classroom training we can do through Zoom and some safe schools. And that I did talk with my boss, Megan. You guys, if you were in the first session, you met Megan this morning about behind the wheel training. And she says you can still do behind the wheel, just have your trainer, you know, maybe stay in the second seat back, maybe that first seat with a mask on, maintain the 6 feet as much as possible. We all know DPS is not going to, you know, let us forgive the behind the wheel part of it right now. So, and then it comes down to third-party testing. I mean, do we have a private third-party tester? Do you use DOT and DMV to do it? Is it still under appointment only? When are we going to get an appointment? So let's see here. Sharon Jett says 6 feet apart minimum, face masks using a larger space. CPR is still happening. We're doing CPR as well. It's usually about 3 people at a time. They're at their own table, spaced out. We took our CPR dummies because we bought the dummies because we have a trainer here in our department. We wrap them with plastic wrap, and then every class that comes off gets thrown away. We do more plastic wrap. Absolutely. Training still happening here, one-on-one. Yep. Chantel, I'm with American Leadership Academy, and it's very difficult this time. We're relying on Zoom and the fact that we are such a small school to be able to do some meeting in person. Good job. What about PPT test from Jennifer Clark? We've done the PPT test as well. It's still just a face mask. Remember, CDC guidelines say if you can't do 6 feet apart, you have the face covering, the face mask or the face shield. Absolutely. Not really training any different from Angeline Rabb, just adding the additional cleaning or whatever we'll be required to do. We don't know yet what we're going to be required to do. We're training right now. Very nice, Angeline. Monica says, yes, in jobs that cannot social distance, must wear masks and gloves and wash hands. Absolutely. CDC guidelines say if you cannot socially distance with that 6 feet, face masks, face coverings, or the face shields should be worn. Is anyone else having some issues trying to get drivers to come in for next year? Raise, say a yes or a no in there. And I'm sorry, Sharon, I cannot remember off the top of my head what district you're from. If you can type that in so I can see that. Chantel says they're still having some issues trying to get drivers in, and we were already in a driver shortage. We know that. Flagstaff, perfect. Thank you, Sharon. I could not remember. I knew it was somewhere up in the northern part of the state. I just couldn't remember what district. I haven't had any brand new. The 4 that we interviewed were the only 4 applicants I had. And they were in May. I didn't have any new applications since February in our pool. So Alicia says we have a large number of older drivers, 65 to 85, and we are not sure about their safety yet. That's another issue to think also for your drivers. Is it even safe for them to come back? And how are we going to do that? Is it an extended leave of absence? Because remember, their position is still held. You can't hold a position that's already filled. Other people. Margaret is saying having trouble getting into DMV to get knowledge tests done for permit. However, we can third-party test here. Then it takes 2 weeks later for appointment to get their license. Yep, we're gonna see delays like there's no tomorrow. I know FMCSA did put the waiver out that you don't have to wait the 14 days after you get your permit to test. From what I understand was Stephanie, and you may correct me here, was that only through June 30th also? Or was that extended from there? I can't remember. But I know that was one of the waivers that they did come out with. Erica says they're having a good year with hiring new drivers. So I have 2 interviews to go. Good job, Erica. Very proud of you. A little bit jealous, but very proud. That is awesome to hear. That's a celebration. Remember, we talked in the keynote about celebrations. That's a celebration right there for Erica, you and your district. That is absolutely amazing. Angeline, your husband would love to pull you out, but this is my life. Big Yellows kind of consume us, don't they, Angie? I mean, that's just the way it is. We get in, it's like a mafia. It's like a Big Yellow mafia. I'm just saying, you know, once you're in, you're in. You don't get jumped to get in, but you know. So, all right. Let's see here. We got about 25 minutes left. What about In service, oh wait a minute here, Catherine says, new trainees can't wait to start training, which will begin first week in July, utilizing the new safety standards from Florence. Very good, Catherine, glad to hear that. We have one new training, but I believe he is being trained normally. Our drivers are all older. We're thinking 2 might not return. Our district is wide, lots of mileage and Page. You know, like I said in our keynote, a lot of our drivers in our industry are retired already. They already had their career, so they could be some of those that are immunocompromised. Some of your staff with lung issues or respiratory issues, asthma is going to be huge. Can some of your staff that have asthma wear their mask for 2.5 hours while they're driving the bus? You know, maybe that's the instance where you look at the face shields. I did buy face shields for my guys if they don't want to wear a mask. At this point, without any full-on stuff, we're at the recommended, highly recommended, and encouraged you wear a mask. But I will have face shields if they don't want to wear the mask. So, but I'm still working on this plan because every time we turn around, something changes. I do have a parent, teacher, and staff advisory committee meeting with me once a week to discuss and put stuff together. And thank you, Stephanie, for the paperwork you put out last week on transportation information and guidelines on reopening. That has helped a lot with our team that I'm working with to get it in. So I appreciate that coming through. They're starting to understand why I keep saying why we can't do something, but what we need to get as close to it as possible. Safety is there a glare with a face shield from compartment light, the sun in the morning, from Monica? So far, we've not found a glare on them. And the thing that we've also really liked, I'll put mine on. The thing we also like about ours is that it doesn't fog up. I can see on the screen right now, there looks like there's a glare this way, but I don't get anything from the inside on the face shield. But you know, the best part is everyone's going to come back with their elastic line around the back of their head. That's going to be fun to have. But so far, I haven't seen a glare. I've got some of them wearing them outside just to check things, but they haven't said anything with it yet either, Monica. But I got a couple wearing them in the office, and they're very, very happy. Is there room to wear glasses? Absolutely, there's room to wear glasses and sunglasses. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but on the face mask, it's got a good 1.5 inch rubberized, or like a foam. So yeah, there's a good room here to wear what you need on it. Well, this is a look. I got Andrea Hauk sitting in here. She's probably screenshotting this to use against me later. But there's plenty of room. One of my supervisors wore it all day yesterday in her office, and she would eat her snacks and her apples. It was fun watching her put it over the mask, and she had to go underneath it with it. But have you had a hard time finding the face shields from Chantel? I have not. This is not the place for me to do business, you know, the little jab for them. If you want to send me an email, Chantel, I will send you who we've been ordering them from. I just ordered 150 of them. They come in boxes of 5. It's like $9.50 a box. I think I spent $260, maybe $300 on masks. So something I'll probably buy every other month. They are reusable. I don't know how many uses we're going to have, so I want to have some on. But yeah, I had no problem. I ordered last week and I got 30 of them yesterday, and we finished the last 125 order yesterday, and we're expected to have them on Thursday. So it was a pretty good turnaround. How are trainers doing in service? That's a good question, Julianne from Tolleson, and that was our next question on here. You're jumping around. I see. You're reading my script. No test in the bus driving with the face shield. No test in the bus driving with the face. No, we have not been out on a bus yet to drive with the face shield. I got 5 drivers doing food delivery. They're doing that tomorrow. We do it 3 days a week. I'm going to give mine the face shields, have them drive around with it tomorrow so I can get on there. So if you want to pop up another email to me on that as well, Monica, and I will let you know what they think after driving in the bus. So absolutely. Julianne, your question, how are trainers doing in service? That was the next question. What are your plans to provide in-service for staff for your welcome back? Anyone want to throw something out there? If you can, unmute yourself. I'm sure you guys would love to hear someone else besides me. Stephanie has a comment. I'm glad she's muted. Not going to answer that. Now she's unmuted.
I will only talk when you tell me to.
Margaret says it is very difficult to plan orientation. I'm thinking we'll have to learn how to use Zoom. Yes, Margaret. I've got 100 in my department. We are going to do our welcome back will be a Zoom day. Absolutely. Dysart's a larger district than I am. I think Zoom may be the best. It is very easy to use. I'll tell you that. We had the trust do in-service. It was great. That was from Monica Garcia. The trust classes they did in April were absolutely amazing. And I understand that slips, trips, and falls was one of the best ones that was received out there.
Yeah, we didn't hire very good actors though. I mean, really.
Oh, so you notice how she jumped in before I could say something there, Coral? Do you notice that?
What?
Jeez. They were great trainings all across the board. And as you can see, my teeth did grow back. And my whole hand did. My fingers grew back as well. Margaret, there are tutorials for Zoom. Yes, when you sign up for a Zoom account, I know right now, well, in April, when you sign up for the free account, usually it used to only be 40 members, and you only got 40 minutes a day of classroom time. But they open that up to 100 people, and you can do as many meetings as you want. But they do have different plans that you can buy. There's an education one where you get unlimited meetings, and I think it's up to 300 people in a class. It's $1,800 a year. It may be something you need to talk to your director about in your district about purchasing for you. I don't think it's something you as a trainer, I would never ask my trainers to do the Zoom, to purchase their own Zoom account so we can do training, but it's something you may want to bring up with your director as well. We will have mirror grid training thanks to our awesome trust team. Most in-service will be held early hours outside. Very good, very good. Zoom safe schools for in-service and possibly some in-person classes following social distancing. That's from Avery as well. That's what we're going to have to do. Our one day where we're usually all together is going to be a Zoom. The next day for dry runs, we're going to break up about 15 people at a time, get them in their bus and gone, get the next group in, get them out and gone. So we don't have more than 15 people in the office or around the office at the same time. It's just going to be a little bit different. And what we have to remember, and I'm going to go back to our keynote, that positive intent and that connected feeling. You're going to have staff that are very frustrated. They're very anxious. They're not going to know what to feel. It's going to send them right back here into that emotional state. And as trainers and as leaders and as peers with drivers and monitors in here, we've got to stay positive and let them know this isn't a big deal. It's not bothering us. We're going to get through this together. We're all going to figure it out. I think that's going to be a lot of the in-service meeting this year, is just reassuring staff that, hey, we got this. We'll see how this goes. We got this. Don't worry about that. It's going to be fine. We're going to have our bumps. We're going to have our little cards out that we made a decision on this, but oops, we made a mistake. I'm still beautiful to me. We're going to get through it. We just got to be real apprehensive. Sabrina says, I would love to hear what they think on the face mask. Perfect. Send me an email. I'll answer them back. I may do a quick little thing and ask Jason if we can put up on the TAA web or the YouTube page talking about the face mask and how drivers felt with driving with a mask. I have no problem with that. We'll see how that goes. All right. Anything else? The last section here, it says open discussion. Does anyone have anything we haven't discussed? And here's the thing. We know what we're going through with the COVID and the coronavirus and the social distancing and the sanitizing and everything else in there. What we wanted to focus on with our conference this year was not just the coronavirus, not just the Rona, not just the COVID. We want to keep it positive and talk about a lot of other things as well. So is there anything else we want to talk about in our support staff? Let's talk here. Angeline, wouldn't DPS need to weigh in on the face shields and driving with it? That's a good question. My answer, it probably doesn't mean anything to anyone. The face shield's no different than wearing a pair of sunglasses. There's no blocking of the face. There's no blocking of the view around you. Everything sits up here. Your eyes are still open with a view. It wouldn't be different with the windshield in front of your face. And that's the argument I would give back to them on that. Angie, I'll be honest with you. And when it comes down to it, it's for my driver safety. And that's where I'm going to end my opinions on that one. That emotional state coming out. See, I recognized it right there. We're just going to go right back here and just move on. Margaret's laughing at me right now. My staff that's in here is probably dying laughing right now because, yeah. All right, any other topics? Someone bring up a topic so we can talk and you don't have to hear me.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead, Sharon.
So I do the discipline and I watch the bus videos and student management, and I'm guessing that my job may change dramatically without any students on the bus or with very little. So I thought I'd bring that up maybe to change the direction of the conversation.
You know what? It could. You're absolutely right. And I think that's what a lot of districts are going to be doing, is just looking at everything, and we may have to do some readjusting just to make sure that we're getting efficient use out of what's happening now. I don't want to say out of the person, because we all know the people that we hire and we work with, they're efficient in everything they do, but we may just have to restructure and rework some things. You know, one of my biggest fears is losing staff, because I don't want to do that. And I am very blessed and so thankful that I have a superintendent that is doing everything she can to make sure that we're not losing any staff at all through this. Monica, how has the new drug and alcohol website been working? Great question. I love it. I've had no issues. I did my limited query on my entire staff last Friday. I sent the report in as a group at 3:15, and at 8:15 that night, I had all the results back immediately. It has worked very quickly. It's pretty efficient, I have to tell you that, and pretty self-explanatory. So it worked great. Remember, for all of you that are hiring right now, before you can hire, you have to do that pre-employment full query through the clearinghouse as we're in there. Before you can technically offer the position, you gotta do that. We've done it where we submit it, and like within 5 or 10 minutes, we're getting those results back when I do a single person, because apparently it's notifying that person on the other end like immediately that we need your consent. So it's been working very, very well. So Monica, remember, we have until January 5th of 2021 to do our limited query on all of our current staff. So just keep that in mind. We still have a couple more months. Are your drivers doing temperature checks on students before they board the bus? My district, as of right now, is not going to do temperature checks for students as they get on the bus. If anyone in here, if you can type your district name and a yes if you are, so Vina will have kind of a resource to reach out to people if she's got questions on that. That would be great. For your bus evacuations, we are moving forward with only having 2 classes, the max, in each school bus. What are other districts doing? Good question, Erica, because we always do ours in September, our first year round. Our first round of the year is in September. We're scheduling them, but we may be putting them off till the winter months so we can see what's going on. Josh Crosby at Higley has a video that he shows his kids. We were checking with DPS on what they thought of like a virtual bus evac, if that would be acceptable this year or not. So, you know, the DPS is going to have to look at a lot of their procedures and what they've got written in policies, and let us know if we're going to get some waivers on things, or if we're going to be saying, okay, being a little lax on a few things that we're not going to be able to actually get done. So, how is routing going for everyone? Any new or unusual problems arising this summer? My router, Susan, will tell you there's too many houses and communities opening But other than that, I think the trouble is going to be with, are you routing for all kids that are eligible to ride, or are you only routing for kids that you know that are going to ride with what's currently going on? It's a very good question, though, Avery. I like that. Don't they need to have a CDL for the clearinghouse? No.
Uh-oh, did we lose Tommy?
Number doesn't change. Yes. Yes, Stephanie.
You froze and I was just checking to make sure it was
Oh,
you and not the
sorry.
program.
It's me. Am I here? Am I still frozen?
No, you're good.
Okay. Do they need to have a CDL for clearinghouse? No, they're registering their license number. When they get a CDL, that number stays the same. So they do not have to have a CDL to register their license on there. Kayenta boarding school, no, don't need to do temperature on students boarding. Okay, so Kayenta boarding school is not going to. Chevelon Butte will be doing temp checks when students enter the bus. Very nice. I thought they need to have a CLP first, then they can proceed to clearinghouse query. No CDL first, have them register their driver's license number, and then we can go in and pull that. Chantel says, we were planning to show a video to the kids for evacs and then only taking one class at a time to the bus. That's another great idea. It's going to take more time to do your bus evacs, absolutely. Just to let you all know, DPS is asking for a 39-month MVR on new drivers. Really, Angie? That's new. I don't remember getting that email from DPS saying that we have to turn that in with our new processes. Stephanie, do you have anything on that?
Say the question again, I'm sorry.
Angie Rabb from Flagstaff says, just to let you all know, DPS is asking for a 39-month MVR on new drivers. Do you have anything on that?
As opposed to the certified 5-year CDL because they haven't gone through training yet?
I don't know. The good
Is that, Angie, is that what you're saying?
Let's see here. They said no communication with MVD. Margaret says, yes, they told me that too. Trouble accessing ADOTs.
Well, that's
they can't see their records. DPS does not have access to MVD. So
correct. You have to be, for those of you who are familiar with how to pull records for your drivers, you have to be a vendor. Your district has to register with them. You have to be nonprofit. You have to go through their process to access records. So I guess my question to Margaret and Angie is, are they requiring this as a precursor to the certified 5-year CDL one? Because they want to make sure trainees are legal to drive, or, less than 8 points or whatever as a trainee. I wonder, I have not talked to them about it, so I don't know.
So thank you, Angie, for bringing that up, because that's huge. We may have to reach out to them, Steph. Stephanie, I'm going to ask you to do that because, yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, I'll put it on my list.
Thank you. We will get an answer for that. I'm not sure. They just said they can't see their records. So it may have something to do with the new system that DMV and ADOT has uploaded. Because remember, they just had that whole thing where they were down for like 3 days. And now you had to register. You can't just do this and that anymore. So we'll see about that. But thank you, Angie. That is amazing information. That's what we're here today to talk about. So that is great. I will definitely let my supervisors know that. Sabrina Palomina, so far we are not doing temperature checks. If we have concerns about a child, then we talk with the parent. If no parent to stop, then child will be given a mask and separate from other students and straight to office. We're posting lists of symptoms on the bus as of right now. And you know what? Palominas is pretty much around the same lines as what's being proposed in my district as well, Sabrina. So thank you for sharing that. That is absolutely awesome. I am saving these chats, by the way, guys, so we can go through. If we miss questions, we can answer back. Jennifer Clark says, are we bus drivers allowed to take temperature on students before boarding? Our super says no. I think a lot of it is district choice, Jennifer, to be honest with you. My super said we're not going to. There's been a lot of discussion about it, but I don't think we're going to. For staff, we are. We're actually doing it right now. When they come in, I do take temperature as we come in. Margaret says, yes, they told me that too, trouble accessing ADA. Okay, sorry. Got 2 more messages. Give me 1 second here. Margaret says DPS can't transfer drivers from one district to another too. They are in a holding pattern for now. That's good information to have also, Margaret. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Margaret. Francisco Gonzalez, where do we send drivers for fingerprint clearance cars now that the fingerprint is no longer doing them for DPS? Or field print is no longer doing them for DPS? Good question, Francisco, and I'm going to be honest with you. That's a little out of my realm because my district, we do the fingerprints here, and then we send off. So field print's not something that I'm familiar with. I know we've been told that you can go down to your local police department, make an appointment, and they'll do fingerprints at times. It's more expensive if you do the digital prints and the actual with the ink and then send off. That's a very good question. I'm going to write that one down. I'm going to save that one, and we'll see what we can get an answer to you for, Francisco. Check back to the TAA website, and we will definitely get on that and find an answer. Monica Garcia says, we need to focus on driving, and would there be time to take the temps of students, stop the bus, etc.? It is going to change your sit time as you're loading and unloading. That is going to be a lot. And then the question, what happens if your thermometer malfunctions and you can't take temperatures anymore? There's a lot of questions in there. Monica, just make sure if it's your district doing it, ask those questions so you have a plan in place or some kind of backup on what to do as well, or there's a clear communication on what to do if that does happen. Okay. You go online under DPS and they give you the locations. They will not process unless you go to their locations when you go to apply online. That's from, and it's McElhaney. I'm sorry, I don't know the first name. It's just showing up as S. McElhaney.
Sandra.
I'm sorry, Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So Sandra, you go online under DPS, they give you locations. They will not process unless you go to their locations. Perfect. So Francisco, apparently on the DPS site, you can get a list of places that you can get that done. That's see, this is why you guys are absolutely amazing. How are districts handling funding for electrostatic sprayers to disinfect the buses? They all seem to be very expensive. Avery, you are very, very correct. They run $700 to $1,000 a piece. My district is not purchasing any of them. I will show you exactly what we're doing. Just a spray bottle with our disinfectant, with the district disinfectant, the CDC approved. They are in bottles that are labeled what it is. Each driver will get a bottle for their vehicle. We're putting together little bags that they're going to take with stuff. So it's hidden, it's out of student compartments, so on and so forth. But this is what we're using because it's a spray on and leave for 10 minutes, then it disinfects. So that's what we're using. We're not using electrostatic. And this is how funny my staff is. This is what they put on it. Cranky spray. I'm not going to say if they've sprayed me or not, but there's Stephanie going all over about that one. A written plan should be done for all changes driver and staff will have for temp checks or cleaning. Absolutely, David Burrows. I agree with that 100%. Our department handbook, and Stephanie can follow on this. We should all have our own handbooks for our department. We saw that through the trust classes. I have my department handbook. The only thing I'm adding this year is our disinfecting process. I've already told them that this is going to be ongoing. This is not just temporary. This is now going to become standard. The cleaning is going to be revised in there also, but what I'm doing this year is I'm adding an attachment to the handbook that is basically COVID, Corona, or shutdown procedures. So everything is in there for that. So David, that's where I would put something like that so the drivers would know what to do in that case. You're absolutely correct. So make sure you have something written for your staff so they know exactly what to follow and you don't have the, oh, well, I'm not sure. Well, he did this way. Just make sure you have something written down. Absolutely agree on that. Absolutely agree on that. Yeah, what we're doing with ours that I'm proposing is, you know, like the big reusable grocery bags. We're going to have one of those for every vehicle. In the bag will be their disinfectant, whatever the district chooses for us to clean, to spray, and then clean with everything. A box of gloves. They'll have 10 to 15, maybe even 20 disposable face masks in there that they can hand out for someone that is sick. They're a laminated copy of what the procedures are and what's expected of them. They'll have their paper towels and stuff in there, and then it'll just come in every day with them. And then the bag will not be assigned to a bus. It's pretty much drivers will come in, grab their book, get their keys, get their bag, go to their bus, come back, give us their keys, put their book away, and put their bag down so we can make sure that it's fully stocked at all times. I don't want to keep the cleaning stuff on the bus. Again, there's another temperature gradient in there as well. So how many districts are going to be going with a 4-day week, and how are they planning on handling the off day for employees? Very good question, Avery. I think a lot of districts are going to a 4-day. What I've been told is if my district does go to a 4-day, that 5th day is going to be a professional development day. What they have not said is if it's a full day as what their regular hours. For example, my drivers are 5.6 hours a day. So on that day off, that's a district cleaning day. Are they going to come in and clean their buses, which I think should be done? And then the other half of the day is a professional development day for us. That hasn't been discussed yet. It's ideas have been thrown out, but nothing's been decided on. I would rather have a Wednesday as our one cleaning day, but on our survey for my department or for my district, 89% of the parents said they would rather have a Friday or a Monday as the one day off. And positive intent is not pulling me here. I'm going from here back to here and going, I wonder why, but that's a whole other issue in itself. So, all right, it is 11:38, 11:39 on that clock. So we got another minute maybe left. Just a few reminders. This was a great session, a lot of good questions, a lot of good answers. A lot of good discussion in here also. Make sure you go to the TAA website. On the TAA website is a link to a survey that Jason Nelson created for all districts to kind of answer some questions about the virus and our reopening. And you can take a survey on that. And then below the survey in another link is the results to the survey. So each of you can go on and look to see what each district is talking about and what their plans are. So you can kind of fill out what's going to work for you. Maybe they got an idea that you haven't thought about yet. Again, visit the YouTube page for TAA, Transportation Administrators of Arizona. Search that in YouTube. Subscribe to our page so you can get all of our videos as they're coming out as well. Margaret says, thanks for everything. Lots of good ideas. Sharon says, thank you. Always great job. Monica says, how and when can we read the chat and receive this? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know I'm saving it. I'm not sure where it's going yet. Remember, it's all brand new to us, but I will find out where it is. I'm sure I'll be able to find it on my computer somewhere. And if we can, we'll see if we can get it posted on the TA website. All right, guys, we got a 10-minute break. Check your schedules for what your next Zoom class is going to be, right? Or is it lunchtime? Oh, no, we're going to lunch. It's lunchtime. I'm sorry there's no big spread of buffet this year. My staff wanted to put a table in the hallway and put food out and we can get pictures and recreate it. And I said no. So have a great lunch. The next session will start at 12:30. Take a look at your agenda to know which class you want to go into. And if I don't get to see you or interact with any of you the rest of the today or tomorrow, have a great summer. Have a great opening if we get to. And I look forward to seeing all of you again real soon. Can we see your presentation from this morning? Everything's going to be put up on the TA website. So yes. All right, guys. Is it virtual dieting? Nice, Margaret. I like that. Have a good day, guys. See you later.